You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek Unlimited.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek Unlimited. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me this week is...
RoboCop, the future of law enforcement. Not really, I'm Mike Dodd. This Week in Geek, what's up?
What's up? Not much. Taking a media entrepreneur class right now, and it's half the stuff he's got on the syllabus right now is actually stuff I was doing anyway. I.e., all this. So yeah, I'm gonna do it for my my personal brand, the SCP-21 Studios, and which I also have all the same stuff set up for, and I gotta create a DBA and a basically set it up as a business. Which will work for me because I've been meaning to do this stuff anyway. I just been too lazy to do it. So yeah, that's part of this class, and then there's a couple other things later on, but I've got all the early stuff done basically. So yeah, I've been doing that, and then aside from that, been killing a swarm of ants in my office today. So
The fun just never stops.
yeah. What's been going on with you?
Not a lot this week. I've been doing a lot of writing and stuff for Terrible Warriors earlier tonight. Well, by the time you have this, it'll be like 10 in the morning, so the Game of Thrones Twig episode will be up tonight, probably around 10, give or take, so we recorded that. Been playing a lot of Black Ops this week. I'm actually, as of this recording, I'm still waiting for my review copy of Doom. Because supposedly no outlets got it early.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that should tell you something about the quality of the incoming game. But then again, some big name titles didn't get big previews either. Like, I remember, I'm pretty sure I got Fallout 4 the day of release, and I know there were a few outlets that got it early, but not many. So, I don't know. So I'm looking forward to reviewing that, hopefully. I'm doing more articles, writing one right now for the radio station I work with, AM 640 and Video Game Sophistry, writing about the best Marvel games, because, you know, Civil War has, I think, earned close to $800 million worldwide, so it's a hot time to be Marvel unless you're on TV. So, yeah, I guess we should probably get into it, shall we?
Well, fans of Altered Geek, the onslaught of big summer blockbusters makes May the perfect time to celebrate some of pop culture's unstoppable, unrelenting, and unbeatable characters and objects. We've got something for you to carry, something for your kitchen, and a cool figure to go with our monthly tea and pin. Featuring 2 Marvel items, plus Warcraft and Dragon Ball Z. No one crate could have all this power. Yes, the month of May is the theme of power. And in that description there, we have, of course, Warcraft, Marvel, Dragon Ball Z, the Avengers. Oh yeah, that's definitely speaks power there. So for less than $20 a month, you can get 6 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique, one-of-a-kind items, and more. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive this month's crate, and when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over, folks. So make sure to head over to www.lootcrate.com/GCRN and enter the promo code TBV to save $3 on any new subscription. So, with that,
get into the gaming division, you should say.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, sounds good. So, getting into the beginning of it, now you watched the Call of Duty and the Battlefield trailer. Which one did you prefer?
Call of Duty, and that's not because I'm a fanboy. I'm just way more interested in the weaponry. For World War I, yeah, I get it's kind of an alternate future or an alternate past, but I honestly don't much care for the Frostbite engine. I don't like the way Battlefield feels compared to COD. But I guess that's maybe because the last few games have had advanced movement, whereas Battlefield has traditionally been an on the ground, or boots on the ground, so to speak.
Yeah, and being I can contest for the other side of this kind of versus, as it were, because I've played Call of Duty and I've played Battlefield. I have to say I prefer Battlefield more because one, you don't have all the little kind of coddled teenagers, children playing as much. Yes, they do play Battlefield, but not quite as much as Call of Duty. But at the same time, like I don't know. I didn't find myself enjoying Call of Duty as much as Battlefield, and I think it has a lot to do with like a lot of the gear, a lot of the weaponry. I do find that some of the stuff is harder to use in Battlefield based on the fact that it's set more realistic than COD is.
Well, you could argue that year to year on who's developing it, be it Infinity Ward, Treyarch, or even now newcomer Sledgehammer to the game.
Yeah, and not that I'm discounting COD or Battlefield in any way. Because I'm a Battlefield fanboy, but it's only since Battlefield 4. And I actually went back to think about it, and I'd played one of the earlier Battlefields with my brother about a decade ago. Maybe more. Maybe it was like 13, 14 years ago. Maybe more. But I played one of them with him years ago, and it's funny because they roped me back in now to Battlefield 4, and now it's going to be Battlefield 1. And I don't know, I've gotten pretty good at sniping with this weapon called the MLAW, which is basically like, it's not an RPG, it's an anti-tank weapon, but anyways, like I like the gear in that game, and I like the way that the gameplay is. So in regards to Infinite Warfare versus Battlefield 1, to me, if I'm going to play something similar to the Infinite Warfare, I might as well play Unreal Tournament, because it's got the same like speedy graphic response, like fast response, as opposed to the, like you said, the on the ground weapons drawn kind of, running into it like you're actually on the battlefield. And I don't know. I didn't find myself enjoying a lot of the Call of Duty stuff, and just watching, like I've watched some of the more recent Call of Duties, or actually the recent one that's out right now where everybody's jumping around and doing this crazy maneuvers. Anyways, I've seen the same stuff in Unreal Tournament, that it's been kind of in that game since '99, since it debuted. So to me, if I'm going to play something like that, I might as well play Unreal Tournament, which I'm already familiar with and enjoy. But I think that I'm going to enjoy Battlefield 1 because it's going to level the playing field more so, because with all this advanced gear and some of the like some of the shots that happen in Battlefield are kind of BS, because they have like airburst and they have snipers, and sometimes you can shoot right through walls and somehow you get killed and they're in the basement, you're up in the top ceiling, and there's no way that they should have been able to just kill you and you die.
Well, you could argue there's like bullet penetration, stuff like that, because I know in Call of Duty you can punch through walls. We call it wall banging. But it depends upon the engine that the game's built on, and the fact that Battlefield does have destructible environments.
It depends on the
that
level.
being a thing.
It depends on the level.
Yeah.
Because there's certain buildings that cannot be destroyed, because my favorite thing to do is go in and destroy anything that can be destroyed. And I guess Battlefield 1, just like Battlefield 3, is supposed to have destroyable environment to the point that it's like, it could almost be a hindrance to the gameplay, being that you could have so much rubble on the ground.
Yeah.
Whereas Battlefield 4, there were buildings that you couldn't do any damage to it. Yeah, you could shatter glass and shatter windows and stuff like that, but you could do battle damage, but you couldn't level it. There were certain buildings that were made to fall over, which is my favorite part of the game, is destroying them. So, I mean, it's going to be more of a... it's going to kind of draw a line in the sand of who likes the modern or the future warfare as opposed to the, the old actual technology we had back in the day.
Well, I do find it interesting the fact that it's splitting the community right in half, because as of this recording, like, Call of Duty has like one of the worst like trailers for a video game ever. So much so that Activision actually had to come out and defend it, saying, "Well, we had the same bullshit happen with Black Ops 2, and look how popular that was." So, but I don't know. I had everyone like getting me all hyped up for Battlefield 1, and I watched it like yesterday, and I was like, okay. I don't know. I wasn't blown away by it. I don't see why all the hate got thrown on Call of Duty. But then again, some people were saying they reuse a lot of the animations, and I know I've heard that before. We could see them reusing the same kind of skeletal models for stuff like that. And truth be told, that makes sense in some ways to save time. But one of the advantages that COD has, or at least in the last 2 years, is having an open beta. So we're probably going to see the beta for this game probably around July or August, like we did with Black Ops 3. And developer Treyarch was very good in taking feedback from that. So hopefully Infinity Ward will do the same thing.
And as far as Battlefield's concerned, Battlefield 4 had issues on launch. And
my God, did it ever.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't play it at the time. They tried roping me into that
I
game.
Gave up on
it. Dance.
Actually, I've actually got a story about that, Battlefield 4. So,
well, before you get to that, I want to say that the Battlefield 1, they're going to have a beta that's open too. That I mean, you have to sign up for it, but it's pretty much going to be open beta, where they're hoping to basically sidestep all the same issues they had with Battlefield 4.
I think part of the problem that they ran into with Battlefield 4 is they rushed it. And hopefully EA and DICE has learned their thing. Like, you can't rush a game like this. You have to make sure it works. In fact, I was going to do a huge radio spot on this when the game first came out, and I had EA contacted me, like, okay, guys, cool, I need the season's pass, I need all this shit, let's get ready to go. Crash, 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 crash. It was even crashing during the campaign. And I got to the point like, guys, I can't play this. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing I can do. And it got so bad where I just deleted the thing off my PlayStation 4. So I've got this fucking premium account for it. And I gave less of a shit. And I couldn't care. And I kind of wondered if that's why I drifted over to Advanced Warfare. Because I was looking for that shooter. And this year, we got heavy competition, like I said, from Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1. And now you got like newcomers like Overwatch and Battleborn coming. I mean, Battleborn came out last week. Overwatch comes out in just a little over 2 weeks, I think. So I'd be very curious to see how that's going to affect sales of this game later on. But EA and DICE need to be right on the ball on this one. They cannot afford to have a shitty launch. They need to make sure all their resources are lined up so they're not delaying DLC to fix game-breaking bugs in a game that should have worked when it shipped.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try it, obviously, because, that's what I do. I may even, if I don't get it for review, I actually may go out and buy it. I may give it a try. But in my experience, the Battlefield community you may say they're a nicer community in some ways. One of the big YouTubers that I trust, a guy named Drifter, did videos for Battlefield, and he's a very well-respected guy in the Call of Duty community. And he was like, Battlefield players were messaging him, giving him shit. They're like, don't tell people about our game, it's our game. Because they didn't want the COD players to infest it. And, I don't know, call me old-fashioned, but games are meant for everybody. And true. I do find that kind of fascinating that Battlefield does have that elitist kind of mindset behind it. Mind you, I do not know myself directly because I'm not involved in it, but we'll see what happens when the game launches on, I think it's October 21st, which is the day after my birthday this year. So we'll wait and see.
I'm hoping that I can actually maybe get my hands on a copy of Battlefield 1. Because I'd love to test it and try it, because I played this one, and I'm not like I'm not a hardcore like first person shooter. I mean, I used to play Doom back in the day, and I used to play Doom 2 and Final Doom and Duke Nukem 3D, and I've always been a fan of the Unreal Tournament franchise. So like every game in that I've played, and then COD I've never really gotten into it.
I find with COD, you have to get the game that hooks. With me anyway, it's the right single player. Like for me, Advanced Warfare, exosuits, cool. Black Ops, conspiracies, and aliens. Mind you, that was tied into the whole zombie mode thing, but still, that's what got me involved. The Modern Warfare series, outside of Modern Warfare 2, I didn't mind 1. 2 I thought was pretty cool. 3 I fucking hated. Man, I never finished World at War. Mind you, this past week, to prepare for COD Remastered, I dug out all my old COD games, and I'm going to play through that Call of Duty 1 all the way to the end of Modern Warfare 3. It's probably over the next couple months. But I don't know. I've got some of the Battlefield games. Might do the same thing with them. I mean, because it's on my PlayStation, I just have to re-download it and reinstall everything. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yep, I'm waiting to see as well. I did find it funny though that the trailers that were dropping, or not the modified ones where they input The Office.
Well, there was one thing I actually kind of noticed about this when Battlefield dropped their trailer, or before when COD dropped their trailer, some DICE employees were throwing shade at them.
Which was kind of wrong.
Which was, it's professional industry. Don't be an asshole.
Especially if it happens to come back and bite them later.
Exactly. And with the Call of Duty people, there's been a lot of trouble right now with people talking about supply drops and, black market blackout and all that sort of thing. And then they go around and offer Seasons Pass holders, anybody who buys a Seasons Pass, this thing where you get a thing called a weapon bribe, where you're guaranteed to get a ranged or a melee weapon, and you get 10 rare supply drops as a way of saying thank you. And now there's even rumors there's supposed to be a 10th specialist introduced. We're wondering if that specialist got canceled or potentially just got pushed back because of all of the backlash. It's interesting to see these two developers of these two huge iconic franchises just kind of going at each other. But I guess we'll see who's left standing, because the big test will be is who has the most active multiplayer servers come Christmas morning, providing a group like Lizard Squad doesn't take them offline.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they can all coexist and do well. More so because it's just we're all gamers.
Yeah, it's better for everybody if everything works and we have choice.
And there's also benefits to having people that enjoy Battlefield more, and benefits to people that enjoy, Call of Duty more. You have the people that kind of stick with that one game anyway. So to fling crap at each other is kind of irrelevant because we each have our own favorites.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's, yeah. I do think it was kind of childish, the insults going back and forth. Not to say I didn't find, like I said, that one video that it was a remodified trailer, where someone, they took the Battlefield 1 trailer and then everything they got smacked by a military person. They had a Battlefield 1 logo over it, and then they had COD Infinite Warfare logos on the other stuff, and then had The Office spliced in there, and it was funny how it came out, because it was a fan that just was doing it just to stir the pot. But
speaking of trailers, let's talk about something big that dropped this past week.
Does it have Creed in it?
It does have Creed, and it does have Magneto randomly flying through the air. So yeah, I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel. Michael Fassbender's Assassin's Creed, the world premiere trailer came out, and it looks okay. I mean, this is the year of the video game movie. because we got Angry Birds coming out in like a week or two, I think. Ratchet and Clank fucking bombed.
Really?
Yeah, well, there was like no advertising for it, and honestly, if you want to watch the movie, go play the game. It's
that's what I heard about it,
and that really disappointed me because I had such high hopes for Ratchet and Clank. But it looks pretty cool. Now they have done some redesigns to the Animus, which there were some people on my Facebook going back and forth saying, I don't like it. It looks different. I'm like, well, it's kind of like that rig from the movie Virtuosity, if you happen to remember that movie from 1995. I'm okay with it. I mean, I want to see a little bit more. I imagine there'll be a presentation at Comic-Con this past summer, though truthfully, I don't know because so many big companies are pulling out of Comic-Con this year. But yeah, it's a 2.5-minute trailer. Takes place during the Spanish Inquisition. I don't know where it fits in terms of the storyline.
Well, it looks like they have a futuristic thing where it's not actually him. They had him plugged in to remember his ancestor.
Well, have you ever played the Assassin's Creed games?
No.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Yeah, basically the Animus is a device which allows you to relive the genetic memories of your ancestor. And there's these two factions. There's the Templars and there's the Assassins. Templars believe in controlling society and, controlling every facet of it. The Assassins believe in choice, but each side has their good points and their negative points. I mean, a great game for that is if you want to play the two best games in the series, in my opinion, Assassin's Creed Rogue and Assassin's Creed Black Flag. They tell side stories not related to Desmond Miles, who's the main character of Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3. So I don't think this character is related to Desmond, who's the main protagonist of the Assassin's Creed series. So we'll have to wait and see. I like the way they've weaved Abstergo. They're the big bad of the Templars, the Assassin's Creed universe. So I'm going to hold out hope that this is the movie we've been waiting for to finally break the video game stigma. Because a lot of people, like I said, were riding their hopes on Ratchet and Clank. Like, come on, how can you fuck this up? And they fuck it up. So we'll have to wait and see. Because let's just say I'm not seeing Angry Birds being mentioned in the same sentence as great video game movies. Like, I want to say you can make a more interesting version out of fucking Candy Crush, but I'm pretty sure that's been optioned at some point.
Sounds good. So, moving on a little bit further, kind of out of the gaming realm, it looks like, we have the Deadpool Honest trailer.
That surprised me that Ryan Reynolds actually showed up for that. And it's very cool to see companies cooperating with the right kind of YouTube networks. Like, we've seen collaborations with, like, Epic Mealtime. In fact, Harley on that was actually in the Dead Rising movie, which went directly to Crackle, like, a year ago. But you see them tying in with the right YouTube channels at just the right time. I'm pretty sure I've seen Vsauce in, like, a movie or something. So, yeah, having Ryan Reynolds and the team over at Fox get involved with them is pretty kick-ass, and hopefully they will do one for the sequel. I think the best, honestly, would be to have Deadpool show up in Epic Mealtime and make like an epic chimichanga or something. That would be pretty impressive, because Ryan Reynolds would probably do it.
Ryan Reynolds is like basically a whore in media.
Well,
but he plays the character really well.
That's the character he was born to play. He will always be Van Wilder, and he will be Deadpool. He's the only guy to play the same role twice and manages to get it right on the second try.
But that wasn't his fault. That was the bad writing.
Yeah. The less we talk about Wolverine Origins, the better. But I did like parts of it. But anyway. But yeah, like, there's so much, I think, that they did right with that. And just, like I said, just having Deadpool riffing on it with them. And that shows just how far that web series has come. I remember randomly being recommended that channel on YouTube like 5 years ago. Like, holy shit. I think they were just making fun of the Twilight movies at that time, or maybe it was The Dark Knight or something. But yeah, because I remember living in my current apartment, and they were like, check out this funny trailer guy, and it worked.
Yeah, that was before John Bailey made it huge.
Yeah, like, I'm really hoping they do something with, like, the CinemaSins guy whenever they do everything wrong with Deadpool. Because if they're smart, they're going to re-release this movie around Christmas time or at some point next year. With, like, an extra dirty edition or something. Which I do stick by my guns. I said this on Twig when we did the Deadpool show back in February. Honestly, they should just hire an editor. Here's $1,000. Cut me a G-rated version of this. I want the G-rated version of Deadpool that's 15 minutes.
You know, they wouldn't have to. There are actual programs that do that for you.
I think that'd be so great, though. I mean, just go back, cut out every swear, cut scenes that have excessive violence, so they're basically nonsensical, or have someone do them in, like, a flip book, just stick figures or something like that. Make it so ridiculous and have Ryan Reynolds narrate the whole thing. It could be amazingly funny.
In this movie, Deadpool did this.
Exactly. I kill this person because he's a big poo-poo head. See, like, that's funny, and that totally fits the characters. Like, well, I thought I'd pander to the groups once because, you know what, money's good. Or something like that. I could totally see that. And if they want to make the sex scenes, like, viewable, they could do what Team America World Police did, just have puppets fuck. Because technically you're not doing anything wrong. So I think that's an opportunity there, but give it time. I'm sure there'll be a new edition of it released sooner as opposed to later.
Yep. So, moving on, there's the budget Civil War.
This reminds me a lot of the, if you remember, a movie came out like years ago, I want to say 2009. Judd.
Please Be Kind and Rewind.
Yeah,
or something.
Be Kind. I think of Judd Apatow, I want to say. Yeah, we're basically Jack.
Didn't it have like Jack Black in it or something?
Yeah, it was Jack Black and one of the guys, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the black guy. I can't think of his name, man. That sounds so racist. But yeah, they would take big budget movies and make budget versions of them. They'd be called Sweded. So we basically have the Sweded trailer for Civil War, and it's so incredibly well done. It looks legit. They have, like, where you have stupid stunts. They're on, like, trampolines, or car chase scenes are done with, like, tricycles and cardboard. It's ridiculous. It's incredibly, incredibly funny. It's the same audio. Actually, no, I'm not sure if it's the same audio from the trailer. No, I don't think so. But it's as close as it possibly can be, and it's really funny. It's definitely worth a watch.
So yeah, I watched it the other day, and I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, oh, that's actually really good quality considering what they had to duplicate on no money. But it looked surprisingly good though. So kudos to them.
That reminds me, speaking of movies, early reviews are in for X-Men Apocalypse.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Damn.
Thumbs down?
You done fucked up. Forbes called it a franchise-killing disaster.
So that means Marvel should take it now?
I don't think they will, because they're already talking about doing the next X-Men movie, which will be set in the 90s, which has potential to be really cool.
In other words, they'll have their spandex suits.
Man, no. Although I would love to see a real representation of Cyclops' 90s outfit.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the coolest I think his outfit has ever looked. I
want to see Wolverine wear it too.
Yellow spandex. Well, I guess they kind of did that at the end of the Wolverine, but
yeah, but they never showed him wear it. It was just in a box.
But yeah, there's it's supposed to be really convoluted. Olivia Munn's Psylocke gets 5 lines and just kind of stands there growling at people. It's a lot of exposition for characters that you already know. It spent a lot of time setting up the next movie to the point where you don't care. And they overplay the storylines of Mystique trying to find her place in the world, Magneto and Professor Xavier trying to overcome their differences and see eye to eye. They waste Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse. And that makes me sad, genuinely does, which means so far the best comic book movies this year is the one nobody believed in, which was Deadpool, until Fox was like, oh shit, a hit.
And it was lighthearted despite its darkness.
Yeah, I mean, it proved if you listen to the source material and you get the right people as a passion project, it'll be amazing. But yeah, it really makes me sad that Fox dropped the ball in this one when their most successful X-Men movie is the one they put no money into. And then for Marvel, Civil War is, like I said, I think it's over $800 million right now worldwide. It'll break $1 billion in probably like a week or two, which means it's already kicked the shit out of Batman v Superman, which I've heard people have mixed opinions on Civil War. Like I said, I've seen it twice already. I really like it. I can see where people are getting the problems with it because the third act does kind of fall apart, but it's not distracting, I think, as compared to Batman v Superman, where his plot hinges on a jar of piss. Although you could argue in Civil War, the plot hinges on a VCR. So I don't know. I mean, I also think the performances in that movie were way stronger, but we still got a few more comic book movies to come out this year. We got Suicide Squad, we got Doctor Strange, we got Ninja Turtles coming out on the 3rd, which I really hope early reviews for that are good.
Me too.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I actually should have a review of the toy line in probably about a week or two, thanks to my good friends over at Playmates and my good friend Janice. So, if anything, the toys are really cool because I got the Rocksteady Chopper and the Leonardo like Ducati bike. Sculpts are great, but obviously it depends if the movie's any good. Not like the bar set that high from the first one, but Stephen Amell looks pretty cool as Casey Jones. The humor seems to be more right on with this one. Seamus is Rocksteady, and I can't remember the name of the other dude as Bebop, and Tyler Perry is Baxter Stockman. It has potential. It's got potential.
This one looks a lot better than the first one did.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really hoping, as an Easter egg, it's Pat Fahey doing the voice of Krang, even if he only has one line. I really hope so. I think that'd be great. Or if they get like Roseanne Barr, or
no, I want Pat Fraley back. They had him come back for the animated show.
I would take any of them, honestly. Hell, I would even take a Gilbert Godfrey throwaway line if I got it. So
they should just hire me to do the voice.
There you go, Steve. You can be the break-in for Ninja Turtles 3, which will inevitably happen. Actually,
I can do Krang. I can do Pat Fraley's Krang. Actually,
to whip back to gaming for just a second, Mutants in Manhattan comes out in, I want to say, about 2 weeks.
Didn't that come out like decades ago?
No. There was the Manhattan Project, which
okay.
92, 93 for the NES, but this one developed by Platinum Games, the same guys who did Transformers Devastation, which was a phenomenal G1 game.
That was awesome. I love that game.
That's one of the few games I'm really close to getting like all the achievements for. I bought the DLC because I didn't pre-order it, so I didn't get the cool costumes. But great game. But yeah, like I'm hoping the Turtles franchise does really well this year. So fingers crossed, man.
Yep.
Other things to talk about in TV and entertainment.
Yeah, Supergirl.
Yeah, moving to the CW,
which was predicted on the show too. That Mike Powers said that they'll move it, and I said it too. They'll move it over to CW. That after a season, it'll start out on CW or CBS and then move. Which is kind of funny because that same thing happened with Supernatural. They moved it to the CW, and So now we'll have Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow,
and the possibility of using Constantine.
Yeah, the possibility of using Constantine. Well, they still used him in Arrow, but he was a one-off, and then they've mentioned him. So I mean, he still has the possibility of coming back. But you might actually see a Supergirl cross over more.
I hope so. I hope that the move to the CW will not affect.
They did say that the budget's going to go down, though.
Yeah, because they have to move from Los Angeles to Vancouver.
But that might be a good thing, because look what they can do with the Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, and it's on CW.
Yeah, so I'm not super worried about it. I don't want it to become superhero fatigue, and I kind of wonder if we're starting to see the end of the superhero television show. And here's what I mean. A lot of the networks were talking over the past week about what shows are getting canceled and renewed. Agent Carter got shit canned.
Yeah, but that's ABC, and ABC just killed 2 other shows, too. They killed the new Muppets reboot, and they killed Nashville.
And they also canceled the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spin-off called Marvel's Most Wanted.
Which, again, it doesn't surprise me. ABC is going through a purge right now.
Well, it's funny because they've got the money. Anything Marvel should be printing money right now, but it's like the writers aren't on the same page as the MCU. But then again, that's always been kind of the case, though.
Yeah.
And somehow NBC greenlit the show Powerless, which is the DC Office comedy.
I have no interest in this whatsoever.
Oh, I do have an interest only because I know it will be a spectacular train wreck.
Oh, yeah, I guess if you're into
Like,
that.
this will be like, you probably, I don't know, have you seen the Justice League pilot from the 90s?
No.
I'm fully...
Oh, wait, you're talking about that cheesy one
Yeah.
with, it's got Flash and Green Lantern and then, like, a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, it's like, hey, here's the B-list D squad we picked up from the local Starbucks. Yeah, like, I'm fully expecting this to be bargain basement schlock. Because superhero and comedy does work, as evidenced by The Flash and some occasionally writing on S.H.I.E.L.D. But it's a one-note gag. Unless the comedy is really, really strong, it's gonna suck.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I loved Agent Carter, that's a show that I think had potential more on Netflix because it's such a niche thing. But I guess Peggy kind of got a proper send-off, so to speak.
Yeah.
Other shows that got canceled, Castle, I'm not surprised.
Did it actually get canceled, or were they talking about it?
It's actually canceled.
Oh, wow.
The Muppets never lived up to the potential that it should have had, which is really unfortunate. Because I think that show had a lot to offer. It just needed... I think it needed to be on a different network. Because when the showrunner leaves before the end of your first season, shit. You've got problems. But once again, I'll have to just kind of wait and see what happens with it. I'm really hoping that things with the CW and Supergirl and all the other DC shows go well. I would totally be okay if CW was the primary superhero network, with ABC occasionally just having their S.H.I.E.L.D. thing.
Yep.
But Powerless is going to suck. Mind you, I will bet you anything the trailer or the first episode will be shown at Comic-Con, or it'll be quote-unquote leaked so they can judge response, or just like how Supergirl was leaked. And oh, what a coincidence, all the reshoots just happened to match what people were saying. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we can get some decent programming and I'm happy with CW having the shows that they have and the ones that they just acquired, but I have no ambition for any other, like, in very much like I said before, I'm more a DC television and animation fan than I am Marvel.
Well, when is that X-Men Fox show supposed to start?
I don't know, and I would give that a shot, only depending for the fact that I still have some kind of I have some kind of a soft spot for X-Men still, despite the fact that I'm burnt out on their films.
Yeah. Which, it's kind of funny the genre that basically Bryan Singer made super friggin' famous back in the 2000s. He comes full circle and dive bombs his own his own franchise. Evidently, I'm being choked by Jean Grey. Yeah, like I want the superhero stuff to be successful, but at the same time, it better be quality television. Like Constantine had a lot of potential, but they wasted it dragging their feet. The other comic book show that's coming out right now, I think it comes out in like a week or two, I think is Preacher on AMC. From what I hear, the first 4 episodes are utterly fantastic. Whereas the other quote-unquote comic-based property, Fear the Walking Dead, has kind of dropped off. And I love Walking Dead. I stopped watching Fear after the season premiere of this season. I'm going to catch up at some point. But it didn't hook me like the way Walking Dead does. But then again, Rick Grimes is a much more interesting character compared to Travis, the supply teacher, I think. See, that's the thing. I can't name anybody outside of him and Carl or Joey Jojo Junior Shabadoo or whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, that's the thing. I can't name anybody from Fear the Walking Dead, and that's a problem.
I don't know. I just don't know. I'm pretty much in that little realm. I've actually just stopped watching 2 shows recently, and it's not because they aren't getting better. It's because I have too many shows and I just don't care about them anymore.
I stopped watching S.H.I.E.L.D., which I know for me is blasphemy. I'm slowly catching up now. But evidently the crossover with Civil War was weak as shit. And there's one YouTuber who constantly does videos on the MCU and always covers Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all the Easter eggs. He's thinking about stopping doing it. His name is, the channel name is Emergency Awesome. And this guy's so excitable. He's very, very, very knowledgeable about stuff. But he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about stopping doing these because the show isn't where it should be. And even with Arrow, I'm hearing it's getting not as good as it should be.
It's not.
Which that makes me sad because I've watched a few episodes of Arrow and I've liked what I've seen. But everybody tells me there's good and there's bad.
My thing is they're doing things to kind of break things up and kind of switch things up, especially with taking out certain main characters and screwing up that dynamic and bringing people back that have left the show. And but most of the problem is the fact that the villains are weak.
Well, and
and it's not even that they're weak; it's that they draw them on way too long. Like Deathstroke was a perfect villain. Everybody else since then has just been dragged on and annoying.
Yeah, and it sucks because from what I understand, they drag out Batman's road gallery, but they can't pull any of the big characters. And
no, you're talking about an Arrow.
Yeah,
because Gotham has them.
That's another show. Mind you,
yeah. That one's gotten better too.
Mind you, I do like the addition of Hugo Strange is B.D. Wong from the fuck is he from? Like Law and Order.
I don't know what he was from, but I recognize him.
I like.
But anyways, he is actually the generation, like the guy creating all the villains.
Yeah.
So it gives meaning to him and everybody else. So
I may give Gotham another shot, but I'm so far not impressed with what I've heard. But then again, with actors, with like Robin Lord Taylor, who steals every scene he's in.
Yeah, especially recently.
So
have you seen the recent episode?
I have not.
You were gonna love it.
I will check that out then, based upon that recommendation.
Because Hugo Strange creates Azrael.
That's pretty cool.
And there's a thing that they hint at when they first introduce him, and at the end of the last season, there's this room. And were you a fan of Fish Mooney?
Yes, actually.
See, I can't tell you anything. Either way. But there's Hugo Strange had to have certain things put in place by use of Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Who has the cryo stuff, which has the ability to preserve. And Hugo is gotten to the point where he's figured out how to revive the dead. They have, and I'll just say this right now: Fish Mooney's not on it yet, or if she's going to be at all. But he's figured out how to raise the dead. It's just whether they're coherent or not. Which is what he did with Azrael. But he's actually somebody else. But how they end some aspects with parts of the character, you're gonna love how Penguin deals with the situation.
I'm down.
So yeah, the show's gotten really good. I was like applauding it. I'm like, okay, you've gotten really good this season. I have nothing bad to say. Whereas like Arrow, I'm kind of like, okay, come on, let's get on with it. Flash, I'm really enjoying the back and forth. Supergirl, I enjoyed. So I mean, it's just and Supernatural just finally jumped on the bandwagon of something I've been predicting for the last 5 years. And
that show's going to what, season 11 now or 12?
It is on season 11. It's going to be going to season 12 next year.
Oh my god.
But
how much more evil is there to fight?
Well, it's God's sister.
What?
Named Amara. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mark of Cain.
Kinda.
That Dean had that at one point, which came from Cain actually, because they had to kill somebody. Well, now like they've got Lucifer on the loose. They've got Amara, who was the Mark of Cain. So there's like this thing called the darkness, that because she's basically like death and God is life. So like she wreaks havoc on the planet. So and then God's been like missing this entire show, only to be revealed to be a character that you thought was dead from like season 5. And I called it when I saw him, because in that show, if somebody's dead, they show them die. But in that instance, they never showed him actually die. Mm-hmm. There was destruction and he was gone. So therefore, they never showed him die. And I guessed that it was him. And I was trying to find the tweet the other day because I made the accusation a few years ago. And they finally came through 2 weeks ago. And I was ecstatic because I was right. Just like the situation where I predicted the Marvel and Lucasfilm going to Disney. So I take pride in my predictions.
You are indeed have the gift of prophecy.
I'm also a dick because I also told Blanchard that one of his shows was going to get canceled, and it happened.
Which one?
Dallas.
Why the fuck? That guy has the weirdest taste.
It was the rebooted Dallas. I said that's all right. I says because he was complaining about something, and I says that's all right. It'll get canceled. And then he's like, "Don't say that." He's like, "I know your prediction powers." and then sure enough, like the next week, it was gone. So he hated me. I guess one of the few relevant things left to talk about is the Greg Berlanti, the guy that's heading the DC universe on television, is going to be doing a Booster Gold movie.
That should be pretty cool, especially if they allow him to put it in continuity.
I don't know if they're going to have him in TV continuity though.
Probably not, because they're probably going to want to keep him in the DC expanded universe, which is already going down in flames.
And they were asking him whether he planned to do the Flash movie now that the original director backed out. And he's like, nah. He's like, Grant Gustin's my Flash, so I can't do this movie.
That's pretty fair too, and I think that's some loyalty that will go a long way for him.
Because he said he's attached to a few films at Warner Brothers now, and one of them is Booster Gold that he's allowed to say. and the writer for it wrote an episode of Flash last year. So he's writing the script, and he says he'd probably direct that, or he'd want to. He says that he enjoys the TV side much more because it's richer, deeper, more like the true comic books, in the sense you're able to explore a new thing the next week, and the stories grow wider and wider as opposed to the films. And then he says that he could never direct a Flash movie, obviously, because Grant Gustin wasn't the lead of it. He's my Flash. And then he says they have 3 words above the door of the Flash writer room: heart, humor, and spectacle. He says so they would do well to remember that when they do the film.
I hope so, too, because I think that's something that the DC universe is sorely lacking when it comes to its cinematic efforts, is they don't have any of that. They expect grimdark to sell. Like, I think
people are done with that.
I think so, too, because, like,
obviously Deadpool is the example.
Like, Nolan's Batman films were fine for what they were. And don't get me wrong, each of them is great in some respect. Dark Knight being one of the best, obviously, and Dark Knight Rises, or whatever the fuck it is, not so much. But when we saw the direction Snyder took with Batman v Superman, you have the iconic symbol of hope, the last son of Krypton, the ultimate immigrant, being a complete asshole, and Batman being a murdering psychopath. No, like, I'm pretty sure I brought this up last week, too, where Zack Snyder was quoted in an interview. He's like, you know what, Batman could get prison raped in my movie, because that's interesting. Holy shit, kid. Like, I don't want a happy-go-lucky Flash who exists in the same world as dropping the soap. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell, I hope even the Aquaman has some kind of humor in it. Like, if it was like the new 52 reboot where he's in a seafood restaurant and they start making fun of him, I think that'd be great. But I don't want Jason Momoa to just sit there and brood for 2.5 hours. So I'm hoping that the Booster Gold movie gives that. I want that to be their Deadpool, because Booster Gold's a funny guy, especially if you let it run the right way.
Yeah. But yeah. Anything else you want to bring up?
Try not to die. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really kind of big happened this week. Okay, I've got to ask. So I'm browsing through Facebook right now. Why the hell are you covering the Before movies?
Who?
Yeah, evidently Blanchard's doing Before Sunrise, After Midnight. Like, what the hell? It just seems like the weirdest movie trilogy to possibly cover.
Sometimes the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand.
And now coming the cinematic retrospective of 2 men and a baby, or 3 men, whatever the fuck it is. Actually, Steve,
2 men in a bumper car? No. What? So he's doing, what is the series called?
I think they're called Before Midnight, After Midnight, Before Sunrise, or something.
He must be doing that with somebody else, because I'm not.
You know what? I'm totally waiting for him when he goes out to California to go visit his girlfriend. I hope he comes back and wants to do M-Wire, Nicholas Sparks. I think it would be amazing. Just to hear Blanchard wax poetic for 2 hours about The Notebook. Which is a sappy movie as hell.
So what you're saying is he should take the microphone with him?
I think, oh my god.
And record on location? Coming soon to a theater near you, Mike Blanchard and his girlfriend talk movies.
Oh my god, please don't. But hey, good for him though. I'm glad he's getting a chance to go out and go visit her out in California. May he not get drafted into a gang in South Central Los Angeles. Because Blanchard's straight out of Compton. Anyway, now that I'm going to hell for that. Yeah, I don't really got a whole hell of a lot going on. I mean, I guess in terms of things that I always talk about, going to Toronto this weekend to record another couple hours of Terrible Warriors Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition Ravenloft, which is going over really, really, really well. With Steve, Dr. Holocaust, Justin, and Scotty Doo. I should be recording my Sailor Moon Dragon Ball Z crossover for that podcast in probably like a week or two. We just had our season finale for our long-form campaign for Star Wars. Let's just say there's a gonk droid that goes nuclear, which is amazing, and I take out a Sith Lord with a flashbang. But yeah, I mean, other than that, always podcasting, doing stuff. Game of Thrones later on today, providing there isn't like a death storm, because we're starting to get a nice thunderstorm here like right now. So, yeah, that's what I got going on.
As for me, just working on stuff for my classes. Looking forward to the last few episodes of the seasons of TV shows that I'm watching, and then not really sure for what else. Just kind of enjoying relaxing and playing video games lately. Plus, my wife's been having a yard sale, so it's been fun watching how much they purge, because it's like a triple yard sale. It's her friend, and my mother-in-law. So they're all selling stuff out of our garage, and it's insane.
Stuff just tends to accumulate.
Yeah, we've been purging stuff left and right. So like, there's like literally, I would say about 40% left of what was there this morning.
Holy shit. Oh,
yeah, there's still a lot of stuff there though.
Yeah, we're hoping to try and purge some stuff out of our collective junk this summer. I got a lot of graphic novels and a lot of toys I'm looking to offload. So add me on Facebook at Birdman Dog. You might see something you like. Oh, that reminds me. Would love to invite our listeners to go check me out over at Toronto's AM640 website for video game sophistry. I'm doing a lot of writing over there recently, and every time you like and share an article, it makes me look good. So thank you to everyone who's sharing the articles and talking on them. I definitely appreciate it. So yeah, I guess without any further ado, let's GTFO.
So, until next time, get Altered Geeky with the Altered Geeks.